Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Mohd Najib bin Mohamad Haniff, and I'll be talking about Malaysia and Sustainable Development Goals (SDG) and where is Malaysia currently at in terms of these SDG. But first of all, what is actually SDG? What is Sustainable Development Goals? So SDGs are a collection of 17 goals that are designed to be a blueprint to be achieved by countries for a better and more sustainable future for everyone. So introduced by the United Nations, by the UN back in the year 2015, these 17 goals are ought to be achieved by the year of 2030. So I will be defining briefly on the SDG 1 up till SDG 17 for a better understanding of the SDGs before we look over the progress Malaysia has made over the years. So the first one would be goal one, SDG one, which is no poverty. So by achieving this goal, it would end extreme poverty globally by 2030. So this includes eradicating extreme poverty, reducing all poverty by half, implementation of social protection systems, ensuring equal rights to ownership, and few others. Goal 2, SDG 2, target the goals target includes ending all forms of malnutrition, promoting agricultural productivity by providing sustainable food production systems, as well as resilient agricultural activities. So moving on to goal 3, SDG 3. SDG 3 focuses on the reduction of maternal mortality, ending preventable death under the age of 5, fighting communicable diseases, and a few others such as road injuries and also death. So for goal 4, quality education, it highlights on having free primary as well as secondary education to the public, the elimination of discrimination in education, as well as education for sustainable development. So moving towards goal 5, which is gender equality, ending discrimination against women and girls, ending violence and exploitation of women and girls, ending early and forced marriages. So for SDG 6, Goal 6, which is clean water and sanitation, Goal 6 focuses on the provision of safe drinking water, ensuring safe sanitation and hygiene services for everyone, increasing reusable wastewater, as well as protecting and restoring water-related ecosystems. So for Goal 7, affordable and clean energy, this would involve in improvising or improving the energy efficiency and enhancing international cooperation to facilitate more access towards clean energy and technology. So for Goal 8, decent work and economic growth. For the least developed countries, the economic target is to achieve at least a 7% of growth annually in terms of the GDP, which is the gross domestic product. So higher productivity requires the diversification and upgraded technology, along with innovation, entrepreneurships, as well as the growth of the small medium enterprises, the SMEs. So for goal 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure, uh, is also ought to be achieved universal access to information and communications technology, and the mobile cellular signal coverage is the target indicator. So for goal 10, reduce inequality. This calls for reducing income inequalities, economic and political inclusion, ensuring equal opportunities, improving the regulation of the global financial markets, as well as the institutions and many more. This is to sustain the income of the growth of the B40, the bottom 40, at a higher rate than the national average, and it is relevant for all countries in the world. So SDG 11 is sustainable cities and communities, which is to ensure access to safe and affordable housing by the year 2030. This is measured by the urban population living in informal settlements, which movements from rural to urban areas has accelerated as the population has grown and better housing alternatives are available. So for SDG 12 is responsible consumption and production. So a few key points on this goal is to achieve sustainable management and efficient use of natural resources, reducing per capita global food waste at the retail and consumer level by half, reducing waste generation through prevention and others. So for goal 13, which is climate action, is to strengthen the resilience and adaptive capacity to climate-related disasters, integrate climate change measures into policies and planning, as well as promoting mechanisms that will increase the capacity for planning and management. For goal 14, life below water, is to preserve the oceans for its sustainable uses, to prevent the marine resources, and also to overcome pollution in water that could also contribute to the climate change that negatively would impact the marine biodiversity. So next will be goal 15, SDG 15. This goal is to preserve this biodiversity of the forest, the desert, as well as the mountain ecosystems. This is to preserve the environment. So goal 16 is peace, justice, and strong institutions, which is to focus on reducing violent crimes, sex trafficking, forced labor, child abuse. It also calls for stronger judicial systems that will enforce laws and work towards a more peaceful society. So moving to the last goal, which is partnerships for the goals, SDG 17. It is to increase the international cooperation to achieve each of the previous 16 goals. So SDG 17 is to assure that countries and organizations cooperate instead of to compete. So this also promotes partnerships to share knowledge, to share expertise, to share technology, and also financial reports. So Malaysia's progress in terms of sustainable development goals up to the year 2017. So we have progressed in absolute poverty and also hunger, where absolute poverty reduced from 49.3% back in 1970s to 0.6% in 2014. So there is a reduction of 90% in undernutrition between 1990 and also 2014. This is a progress that Malaysia has made so far. So for education, there is a 97.2% of enrollment rates for primary and 90% of secondary schools for boys and girls in 2016, and the total amount of 48% of enrollment for higher education in 2012. So there is a higher percentage compared to the previous years, which is in 2002. So the basic amenities, we have over 95 coverage of treated water and sanitation facilities, as well as 98.2% of coverage of 24-hour electricity supply at national level in 2015. So an increment of 1.5 times in renewable energy installed capacity back in 2016. So over the years, Malaysia have made improvements and in order to fulfill the 17 goals of SDG. So the infrastructure is 81.5% of national broadband penetration in 2016, with 91.2% coverage in populated areas also in 2016. So there is a total of 58% growth in road networks, which improved connectivity across the country between 2010 and 2015. So the progress on the responsible consumption and production, as well as the climate change, a total number of 429 million ringgit of green government procurement since the year 2013, that includes that reduces the carbon intensity of the economy by 33% since the year 2009. So the economy and the employment, what Malaysia had done, and how did we progress. So we sustained 6.2% per annual economic growth for over 50 years. So full employment since 1992 towards the year 2017, and we have also increased the number of female labor force participation rate up to 54.1% back in 2015. So lastly, although new researchers estimates that not a single country could fulfill the achievements of implementing the 17 SDGs as estimated to be achieved by the year 2030. But Malaysia can also improve its ways on implementing the SDGs to reach a better accomplishment. So a few examples would be align the planning accordingly, regardless of political issues. So we currently in Malaysia have a bit of political issues, so it would affect on how the government would proceed in terms of uh, achieving the SDGs. So we should focus on SDGs that has higher chances to acquire. So for now, Malaysia has been focusing on SDG Goal 1, Goal 2, and Goal 5, 7. So we should look towards the SDGs that have high chances for us to achieve. So Malaysia should also study the developing or developed countries progression. So we could take Japan, for example. We could take South Korea. We could take countries that have high progress in terms of SDG for Malaysia to compare or to learn on how to achieve these SDGs. So the government should also create stricter rules for companies and organizations in terms of uh, acquiring the 70 SDGs because it requires for the whole country to be developed at once. So in terms of the companies and also organizations, if they were given a stricter rule, they could uh, corrupt or could destroy the environment. They could they could abuse their power. So this will result in Malaysia not being able to fulfill the implementation of the total 17 SDGs. So Malaysia could improvise. Malaysia could do something better in terms of achieving the goals. So that is all from me and for SDGs and also Malaysia's report based on the year 2017. Thank you very much. See you again.